to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go course live session. And let's dive into our email for today. Have a look at a quote, some teaching. All right, so let's share my screen with you. Yeah, so if you can read that quote to kick it off, that's from the text.
Yeah. Healing only strengthens. Magic always tries to weaken. Healing perceives nothing in the healer that everyone else does not share with him. Magic always sees something special in the healer, which he believes he can offer as a gift to someone who does not have it. He may believe that the gift comes from God to him, but it is quite evident that he does not understand God if he thinks he has something that others lack. Yeah, we're just talking about that.
Yeah, exactly. Pertinent. So the true healer, doesn't think that they have anything special. I mean, even Yeshua. So possibly the greatest healer of ever, it's amazing miracles, raises the dead. He said, I don't have anything special. He said, you'll do these things that I've done, and even greater things that I've done. Because he knew that the power that he had was a power that everyone could have. It was a potential power in everyone. So no one's more special than anyone else. And don't make, as a healer, don't make yourself into something special. You just give honor to God and say, well, it's all coming from spirit. And there's no identification with the role of healer. So the ego is always seeking to, identify with some kind of special character, special role. And many healers have fallen into that trap. And he's saying, quite evident that he does not understand God if he thinks he has something that others lack. Well, if we're all the same, we've all got the same awareness and the same power. And actually, in truth, no matter how amazing the healer is, he doesn't have anything that anyone else doesn't have. It's just a temporary, it becomes a temporary channel for that, which may be more open than some other channels. That's all. But the healing power comes from God, and that's always there, and it's shared by everyone. Okay, so we'll have a look at our mind training for today. I thought maybe we can do some more of that power breathing and alternate nostril breathing to connect with this deeper healing energy. How did you find it yesterday?
Oh, the breathing. Yeah, no, it was very relaxing. Almost, I was dozing. Yeah.
Did you manage the alternate nostril?
Oh, the alternate, well, just it's a clearing, isn't it? It's very clearing. It makes you sort of here in the now. The breath is Pigong. What's it? Sorry, I can't pronounce his name. Bagang.
Bakan. Yeah.
Oh,
Bakan.
who? Bekai. Bekai.
No,
Bekai?
no, bakang. Bakang
Oh,
is
Bakung. Ah, Bakung. I was a bit the
bakang.
same as he was. Bakung, he said about his right nostril being a bit blocked. Mine was too.
Oh, yeah,
It was a bit more
yeah,
harder to breathe into that nostril as opposed to the left one.
yeah, yeah. So the more you do it, the more that'll clear. It's just about clearing any of those blocks. You can, as I said, you can sniff sesame oil. Helps
Mm.
seems to help clear the nasal passages. It's one way of doing it. And obviously blow your nose as well before a session. So if you want to do that, should we do
Yeah,
10,
I'll
15
just go and get
minutes
a handkerchief.
of the alternate nostril breathing now,
Yeah, I'll just get my handkerchief.
just to practice it again, and then go into some teaching. For today, we'll look at the third pathway to higher awareness.
Right.
Section 5 of chapter, no, we're in section 4, chapter 7. Yeah, and then we'll look at the map of consciousness as well. Should be good. So let's start it with the meditation today. So yeah, if you just record this, just make yourself comfortable. And so and do 3 power breaths to start with, just through the both nostrils, and then we'll do the alternate nostril breathing. So just to show you before you go into it, stop the share. So we've got, you're going to breathe in the alternate nostril section. You're going to breathe in through the left, pause, hold it for 30 seconds, then breathe out through the right. So the hand movements are quite important. You put your right hand, or your right thumb on your right nostril, and your forefinger, the second finger, on your third eye. Right. So you block the right, you breathe in through the left, then you pause, you hold it for 30 seconds. You do the root lock. You do the squeezing of the abdominal muscles, which is also a yogic lock. So Mulabandha in yoga is the root lock. Then Uddiyana Bandha is this middle lock around the third chakra. So you squeeze your abdominal muscles in and down, and then you put your chin on the chest, which is Jala Bandha. That's neck lock. And then the hand movements, you're going to switch. So once you breathe in through the left, you hold it, then you switch it. When you're going to breathe out, you switch it to block the left nostril with the middle finger, or middle finger. So this one, second finger or forefinger goes on the third eye, and then you block the left nostril with the middle finger, and you breathe out, and then you hold the breath. Try and hold it for as long at the bit between the inhale and the exhales, between the exhale and the inhale. So if you can hold it for another 30 seconds, you probably won't be able to, but see how long you can extend that. And then you go smoothly in to the next inhale. So then you just breathe in through the right, which is open already. You pause, you hold. When you're ready to switch it to the left, you just switch it and close your right nostril with your thumb and breathe out the left. And that's one set. So I'm going to do 3 sets like that. In through the left, out through the right, in through the right and out through the left. That's one set. 3 sets like that. So it's 6 breaths. And then we do 3 power breaths through both nostrils. So it's 9 breaths in all. And yeah, it takes 15 or 20 minutes, depending on how long you hold it. Okay, so any questions about that, Elaine?
Not at all. No, I know the procedure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so just sitting with your back straight. Make sure your back is straight for this one. It's important that back straight so the energy can rise up the spine and it's unimpeded. Your shoulders back. Cup your hands in your lap or have your hands palms facing outwards, palms facing upwards on your thighs. And so you breathe in. Nice deep breath in. Through the nose. Notice how the stomach rises. Just clench your sphincter muscle. It's the muscle used to contract the flow of urine or squeeze the last drops out. Breathing into your heart center. If you like, you can put one hand on your heart, your right to left hand on your heart, and just feel that feeling of connection and love. And breathe in again. So maximal inhale breath in 3 stages. To the lower stomach, then into the middle stomach and the chest, and then final purvey into the head. Just put your chin forward on your chest. Squeeze your abdominal muscles to lock that energy in, and raise your pelvic floor and squeeze the sphincter muscle, which is the muscle used to track the flow of urine and squeeze the last drops out. So it's a triple lock. You just pause here, another maybe 10 seconds, just holding the breath. It's quiet, calm, still way. Any thoughts, any negative emotions come up, just observe them and you can let them go with the help of your breath. So just now bring it to level, release the locks as you exhale, blowing it all out. Going, gone like a black smoke or a dark cloud. It's leaving you. All the stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. Just rest here for a few moments. So try and hold the breath for as long as possible. Find that difficult. Just persevere into the difficulty for a few seconds. So breathing in again. To the lower stomach, blowing it up like a balloon. Squeeze the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Draw the energy up the spine. Into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart. Squeeze your abdominal muscles in and down to lock the energy in there so it can't flow back down. And then you're going to again feel the energy rising up the spine into the crown of your head. And pause at the top of the inhale. And just calm your mind. So as you hold the breath, it's a good opportunity just to observe the mind, with your thoughts, emotions, basic body sensations going on. And to hold the locks, you're squeezing abdominal muscles, chin forward onto the chest. You can't hold it anymore, just bring your chin level. And exhale out your mouth. It's going gone, just letting go of any last remaining resistance, negativity, fear, anger. Blow it all out. The breeze of your breath. Going gone. Let me just rest for a few seconds and find some stillness and peace and quiet and the intensity of this breathing practice. You can't hold it anymore, just move smoothly into the next inhale. And breathing into the lower stomach, bring it up like a balloon. And into the middle chest. Squeeze the abdominal muscles in and down. All the way up into the crown of your head. And pause at the top of the inhale. Maximum inhale breath. Find this exquisite stillness in the gap between breaths. There's no thought, no emotion. And hold it for a bit longer. Find the peace beyond the discomfort. You can. So when you can't hold it anymore, then release the locks, chin level. Just exhale out through your mouth. As you just blowing these negative cloud patterns away. The breeze of your breath dissipating. Like clouds, just pull them more out. Rest here. And the stillness and the peace for a few moments. Just anchoring that in to your own awareness so it becomes yours. So now let's move into the second phase of the breathing exercise, which is the alternate nostril breathing. So it's the same, one long deep brow breath, but just through one nostril at a time and then out through the other. So lock the right nostril, putting your thumb on that, and then the right hand, put your forefinger on your third eye, block the right nostril with your right thumb, and make sure your back is straight, shoulders back. Take a nice deep breath in through the left nostril. So it's a maximal inhale breath. Going into the left nostril. And pause at the top of the inhale. Just do the root lock again. So you squeeze the sphincter muscles, squeeze the abdominal muscles and down, put the chin forward onto your chest. Find the peace that's been called a peace of God that surpasses all understanding, transcends time and space. And then exhale. So switch it to your middle finger on the left nostril. Exhale out your right. Nice. Smooth, slow exhale, about 10 seconds. Exhaling it and just Find some stillness at the bottom of the exhale. So block the left nostril, now breathing in through the right nostril. So it's a maximal full inhale breath. Squeeze the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Feel this warm wave of energy rising up the spine, all the way up into the crown of the head. Maximal inhale breath. Pausing at the top of the inhale, squeeze the abdominal muscles, squeeze your sphincter muscle, lock the energy in, put your chin forward. And then just switch it, block the right nostril and breathe out through the left. We have about 10 seconds, nice, slow, rhythmical breath. We'll just have a sense of releasing. So letting go with the breath, going. Find some peace and stillness at the bottom of the exhale. So breathing in again through the left nostril, block the right one with your right thumb. Maximal inhale breath. Try and do it in 3 stages. So into the lower stomach, stage 1. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock it going out there. Maximal inhale breath. Scan your mind, any negative thoughts, emotions. You can't hold it anymore. Going to block the left nostril out through the right. It's nice, slow, smooth exhale over 5 to 10 seconds. As you exhale, feel a sense of release. Letting it out. The right nostril. Finding some peace at the bottom of the exhale. Some stillness in this. And breathing in through the right nostril. Stomach rises, the chest rises. Squeeze the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Pull the energy up the spine to your heart center. The energy in. So contract your sphincter muscle. Squeeze the abdominal muscles in and down and chin forward into your chest. And hold it. And then exhale out through the right nostril. Blowing it out. Nice smooth exhalation. Try and make it very, very smooth. and smooth breath. Find some stillness at the bottom of the exhale. Pause there for a few moments. Enjoy it. And then breathing in again, blocking the left nostril into the right nostril. So clench your sphincter muscle, lock the energy in. Squeeze the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Squeeze your abdominal muscles in and down. Chin forward onto the chest. Pausing at the top of the inhale. And you're going to lock the right nostril with your thumb and then exhale out the left. Nice, smooth, slow exhalation. So a sense of blowing out any negative thoughts and emotions. Exhaling out. Lower stomach into the spine. Find some stillness, some peace at the bottom of the exhale, and then final set. So breathing in again through the left nostril, block the right one with your right thumb. Nice full deep inhale. Breath to the stomach, clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in, into your heart center. So then breathing in to the left nostril, maximal inhale breath, clench the sphincter muscle. Scan your mind. So maybe there's this stage of empty, open, spacious awareness and clarity, but if it's not, soften into it. Just be willing to let go of any of these thoughts, emotions. Use the breath to help you to release it. So you release the locks, chin level. Lock the left nostril with your middle finger and exhale out through the right one. And blow it out with the breeze of your breath out of your right nostril. Sending it out, going, gone. Find some peace at the bottom of the exhale. Stay there for a few seconds. Ideally, you should stay there for as long as you hold between the inhale and the exhale. And work it so that you can hold it for as long between exhale and the inhale. So breathing in through the right nostril, blocking the left one with your middle finger, as I'm demonstrating. Maximum inhale breath, squeeze the sphincter muscle to lock the root lock energy in, and squeeze your abdominal muscles. Raise the energy up, as it's like a light awareness flowing up from your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. And just hold your breath briefly. Just reveling in the So going now into the final breath, block the left nostril, into the right nostril, and 3 phases into the lower stomach. Feel that, squeeze that. Maximal inhale breath, squeeze your abdominal muscles, and just sphincter muscle, chin forward on the chest. And just hold here for as long as you can, maybe a bit longer than 30 seconds. Trying to find some you can't hold anymore, then block the right nostril. And just exhale out through the left. Bring it out. Nice smooth deep exhale over 5 to 10 seconds. Imagine you blowing out any last remaining stress, fear, anxiety, any other negative thought and emotion. So particularly good for fear and stress in any form. And exhale. Blow it all out and just rest. It's peaceful. So calm. Way just gonna slip into a bit of breath watching. So you're gonna breathe. And out through your nose. Observe the breath for a couple of minutes, just to quiet the mind, to enjoy the surrender. Breathing in and out through your nose, just both nostrils quietly. Finding this that deep peace, and deeper into this peace with every breath. No else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about, and just breathe, relax, and be still. Trust that everything is happening as it should. Observing the breath flowing into your nostrils and out of your nostrils. Breathing in and out. Sinking inwards, surrendering. Into the stillness, peace, at the present moment. Any thoughts come in, just return your attention to the breath. So just for a couple of minutes, can you just focus exclusively on the breath, not let your attention wander anywhere else? Very simple, but remarkably difficult to do. So just gently coming back now in this very deep, peaceful state. You can bring some attention back into your body, the breath, senses in the world. And on the count of three, you're going to open your eyes. So one, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And you pause at the top of the inhale and you scan your mind one more time and notice any thoughts and emotions, any related body sensations going on. If there's anything untoward, doesn't feel good, just notice that and be willing to let it go, understanding this isn't who you are, isn't really your identity. Can you exhale? Blowing it out. Going. Stomach into the spine. Stomaching it out. So on the count of two, now notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair and your feet touching the ground. Noticing what you're feeling and touching. Tasting perhaps with a smell in your nose. Taste in your mouth. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things from this very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind without illusions, a state of mind which only the truth is true. And so notice the breath flowing in now as you breathe in. Notice the weight of your body pressing down to the chair. If you're touching the ground, notice feeling and touching, tasting, perhaps smelling, and all these things from a still, calm, and surrendered state of mind without illusions. Anchor the state in for the rest of the evening. Just top yourself up with a breath break if you need to. Anchor this very calm, peaceful state in to your awareness now, so you can stay in that state. So, on the count of three now, open your eyes. Just look around for a minute, noticing there's objects in the room around you without any judgment. There's just peace. It's the same piece, whatever you look at. So look at another object and another one. There's your underlying state really hasn't changed. And close your eyes briefly, then open your eyes again. Notice that whether your eyes are open or closed, it doesn't really matter. It's the same underlying state, just deeply peaceful. Just feel that peace in your heart, in your mind. Anchor that state in and stay at peace for the rest of the session and the evening. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the breathing and the meditation session. So yeah, any comments on that one, Elaine?
Well, the breathing was sometimes a little longer than I could hold it for, so I sort of did a double take, to
Okay,
my
sure.
best ability. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Going beyond uncomfortable. Yeah. So I just took another breath and out again. So yeah.
Okay, yeah. And if you're going to do this regularly, you just try and extend it a bit. So you go slightly into your discomfort zone and just try and hold it a bit longer. And try and find underneath that intensity of the hot breath holding that actually there's a piece that underlies it. It's kind of almost one of the big points of it. So that you create intensity, you create the difficulty for yourself, and then you experience that and it arises, but underlying it, if you can find a deeper peace, actually it's all okay. Although that's happening on the surface level, like the waves in the ocean, underneath that, it's like in the depths of the ocean, it's calm, it's peaceful, nothing's moving. And so you're teaching your mind that there is this depth. There's a huge depth of feeling and understanding there.
Yeah.
You can overcome. It's almost like you've created the difficulty for yourself, and then you've got to overcome it.
Yeah.
And in the overcoming of it, there's a good lesson. So you creating the difficulty means you're kind of mimicking what life will do. Okay, there's going to be some challenge and some difficulty, but I can just observe it. I can watch it, as it arises, and I don't have to react to it. I can let it go with the help of the breath. That's why emphasize letting go when you exhale.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's something you can practice on your own. It's very
Yes.
simple. Could do every day if you wanted. You can. It's
Just
quite
increase.
a good kind of pepping up. You do a couple of power breaths if you're feeling a bit low energy. Just do 3 power breaths, or you can do some alternate nostril. You can do both. But it's quite a nice, short, sweet, powerful little breathwork technique that you can incorporate into your day and into your spiritual practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Perhaps you know how to do that. Up to
no.
you. You incorporate it into your daily routine if you want, in the morning, evening. And it can be used as a meditation as well. So you do it, and then the last bit you kind of slip into this nice peaceful, relaxed state, or you could just use it and do 1 or 2 power breaths to re-energize yourself.
Yeah.
At the end of it, what I'm just show you, if you're feeling a bit drowsy now, you can do another quick breath work technique to kind of get some energy going. So ideally stand up and just you're going to push your arms out as you exhale. So it's you push your arms out and then you push your arms down. So
Right.
just do that for say 30 seconds.
Right.
And see how that feels. It's a quick kind of energizing. If you zoned out and you're feeling tired because of the meditation, that can get you back into kind of an alert state.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. You just do 2 puffs and then
So and just focus on the exhale.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hmm. As I
yeah.
seem to remember last time, orally, we did a bit of laughter as well. So it was like, very good, very good.
Oh
Yay!
yes, yes, that was funny. That yes, yeah, you did a laughter
You could do
therapy.
that
I
as
do.
well. The idea is just to pep yourself up after, yeah, exactly,
Yeah, just to
laughter therapy.
energize.
So it's
Mm.
just to yeah, kind of re-energize because some of the breathing can put you into quite a deep kind of alpha state,
Relaxation. Mm.
relaxation, and then you're like, okay, well now I need to,
Just
I
lie
need to go
down.
and yeah.
Yeah,
And if you don't need to, you can stay in that state and just it's very pleasant. But if
yeah.
you get up and move around, you're like, okay, we'll just do 30 seconds, a minute of that. Just focus on the exhale.
Mm, mm, mm.
And you're moving, so there's energy moving in your arms, so that's helpful. You
Yeah,
stand up.
getting the chi
And
moving.
yeah, I think it's something to do with the by focusing on the exhalation,
Mm,
you change the carbon dioxide oxygen balance in your bloodstream, and that's part of the energizing effect. But for whatever reason, it works. So and these are natural ways. People are like, oh, I need a substance to relax me, or I need a substance to pick me up.
energize.
It
Mm,
can all be done with the breath very
yeah.
effectively.
Mm,
If you're feeling a bit low energy, you can do that. If you're feeling but stressed or tired out, you can do a deep meditation and really get a deep kind of relaxation and rest for
mm,
your mind. Then when you come out of that, if you need to operate again, you can do a minute or two of
mm-hmm.
just to get yourself back into an alert state. And the nice thing is there's no side effects to you're not having to deal with toxic substances or it's like okay, it's instant. So these techniques are a great way to change your state and manage
Mm,
your mental and emotional state moment by moment. And if you understand the different techniques, what they do, you can use them appropriately.
yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So yeah, any,
Good.
any other
Very good.
questions?
Yeah, no, very
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
I know. Yay. Yes.
Yay! Very
Yeah.
good. Good.
Yay.
Yay!
I know.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a little kind of energizing pep up.
It is. Yes. Yeah.
Thing. Makes you
More cheerful.
you back to being a child, where you're just like
Yeah. Yeah. Which is lovely.
spontaneous and free.
Nice.
you know.
Nice. Oh,
Okay,
excuse
so
me.
that's power breathing with both nostrils, and then the alternate nostril breathing. You can do it in one session like we did, in which case it's 3 breaths, power breaths, and then
Going to the
3 sets
nostrils.
of alternate nostril, or you could just do the alternate nostril, or you could just do the power breathing, depending on how much time you have and the effect you want. Up to you. You
Mm,
can
mm.
play around with it, but it definitely relaxes you. And after something like that, so it's feeling a bit like then you pep yourself up. It's like, yeah, nice. I feel calm and relaxed and yet alert.
Yeah.
It's that's ideally what the breath work does. Calms you down and you relax, but you can also be quite sharp and alert.
Mm. Yeah. Good state. Very good.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very good, very good. Yay!
Yay. Yeah.
All right. So let's have a look now at it's going to go into the course manual, and then we'll have a look at today's reading from the text as well. Okay, so we're going to have a look at the wait, not the atonement. We want to course manuals if you want. So I'm going to have a look see at 12 pathways again to higher awareness. So we did the first two. Just maybe recap those, read them in the simple form there, just so you know, because they go together. These are in threes. So if you want to just read from I'm freeing myself to the end of around me. Elaine, you there?
Yeah. Sorry, what was that?
Okay.
There's nothing. I can't see anything. Can't see anything.
All right. Sorry, I haven't shared my screen. That's why. You can read read number 1 and 2. Freeing myself. So this is what we did yesterday, just to recap. That'll lead us nicely into considering number 3, which we'll look at in detail.
Freeing myself. I am freeing myself from security, sensation, and power addictions that make me try to forcefully control situations in my life and so destroy my serenity and keep me from loving myself and others. Number 2, I am discovering how my consciousness dominating addictions create my illusory version of the changing world of people and situations around me. And 3, I welcome the opportunity, even if painful, that my moment-by-moment experience offers me to become aware of the addictions I must reprogram to be liberated from my robotic-like emotional patterns.
Yeah, my robot-like emotion patterns. You can see how all of these 3 go together. It's all about facing your addictions and doing it with awareness, so that you can reprogram and be liberated from these robot-like emotional patterns. And this is the start. You can't be free if you've got addictions going on. There's no freedom there. So you want to truly be free and ultimately awaken. And this is the start. You've got to face these addictions and be willing to reprogram. Become aware of the addictions. I must reprogram to be liberated from my robot-like emotional patterns. Just as an aside, or to mention, and what I mentioned earlier with the drugs and things like Prozac and stuff. The problem is they numb you out. So your awareness is dumbed down. And without that awareness, how can you become aware of the addictions you must reprogram? Your awareness needs to be clear and sharp. And drugs don't facilitate that. In fact, they're the opposite. They cover over your higher awareness. So although you might feel less anxious, less stressed, actually it's just a suppression mechanism. You haven't really dealt with the problem. So instead of going, well, I'll just take Prozac and I'll deny whatever the stress is, I welcome it. I welcome the opportunity, even if painful, that my moment-by-moment experience offers me to become aware of the addictions I must reprogram to be liberated from my robot-like emotional patterns. It's kind of saying, well, bring it on. Whatever I need to experience, I welcome that opportunity, even if it is painful temporarily, because I know there's an opportunity to heal the pain. So I'm not avoiding it. I'm embracing it and saying, okay, we'll bring it on. And then you become incredibly resilient with this attitude. You see how this breeds a highly resilient person.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Because the pain you welcome, you go, okay, well, this is obviously what I need to deal with. And there's a way through this. If I welcome it, if I resist it, and I try and numb it out and dumb it down, and there's various ways of doing that, like drugs and alcohol and substance abuse, distracting yourself with other activities. Then I'm not really dealing with it. The pain is still there. It's just I'm trying to distract myself. So the courageous, the hero says, no, I will face the pain. I'll face the ego directly, and I'll bring in my higher awareness to help me to let it go. And then I can actually reprogram. I can liberate myself from these addictions because they're just programs. I'm not a bad, evil, sinful person. I've just been programmed and conditioned. But I have a choice. I can choose to carry on in the programming and let the addiction run me, or I can choose to free myself, which will be my choice. It should be obvious, but the addictive programming is very strong. So for many addicts, most addicts, I'd say, unless they have a program that's helping them to reprogram, like say the 12-step Alcoholics Anonymous program, or some kind of spiritual program practice like this, typically they won't do it. It's much harder to go and face the ego than just to carry on, to status quo, just carry on doing what you've always done, although you're not particularly happy. It's the ego tells you this is safer, this is better than trying to undo it all. It's a lie, but it's a comfortable lie for most people. Okay, so how do you spot your addictions? You want to read that? Maybe just read it again from the top. I welcome the opportunity.
I welcome the opportunity, even if painful, that my moment-by-moment experience offers me to become aware of the addictions. I must reprogram to be liberated from my robotic-like emotional patterns. How do you spot your addictions? It's easy. You just notice the desires and expectations that you use to make yourself feel upset in various life situations. By tuning into your moment-by-moment stream of awareness, you discover the addictions that make you feel worried, anxious, resentful, frustrated, afraid, angry, bored, etc. In this way, you use every uncomfortable emotion as an opportunity for expanding your awareness. Everyone and everything around you is your teacher. If your washing machine won't work, you are being checked on your ability to peacefully accept the apparently unacceptable. If you are addicted to your appliances, always working, you will suffer. If you prefer them to operate well, you will not compound your problem by superimposing your uncomfortable emotions on the here and now reality of repairing them.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
It's all about reprogramming these addictions that we have, but facing them, no matter how uncomfortable they are, moment by moment. So learning to accept the unacceptable.
Yeah, so it's all about awareness. Any letting go starts with I need to become aware of these desires and expectations that you use to make yourself feel upset. The way he puts it, it's like, really? Am I doing that to myself?
Yeah, it's mad.
That's the truth. I'm using these things to make myself upset, if I'm honest with myself.
Mm.
And if I tune into my moment by moment stream of awareness, okay, so what's happening now? It's called mind watching. You watch what's going on. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Then you start noticing. Okay, I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling worried. Whatever, anxious, resentful, frustrated, afraid, angry, bored. And once I notice it, the uncomfortable emotion is an opportunity for expanding my awareness. Okay, I'm noticing. So now what's noticing it can't be that awareness. If I'm aware that I'm anxious, then there's another awareness besides anxiety, isn't there? Because I'm aware of it. So you're cultivating your higher awareness just by noticing these states. And then the Course says, well, let it go as well. Don't just stop at awareness. That's the first step. But the second step is a conscious choice to let it go. So, okay, that feeling, I don't like that feeling. That's not what I choose. So I need to let it go. The obvious thing to do is to let it go. Surely, if I don't like it, I must let it go. Well, he makes the point, everything and everything around you is your teacher, even your washing machine. Didn't you you had an issue with your washing machine, didn't you? So it
Yeah,
happens.
yeah,
You
yeah.
checked on your ability to peacefully accept the apparently unacceptable. If you're addicted to your appliances always working, you'll suffer. Oh, I can't believe this is happening to me. Oh, and you create a story and a drama. This always happens to me. My stuff always breaks, and then the repairmen don't come, and it's a whole identity and a victim story. I feel like, well, yeah, I prefer them to operate well because that makes life easy. But
Mm.
okay, it's not working, so it's not really a big deal. I'll just do what's required. I'll fix it. Um, and I'm not super involved in my company because that doesn't help at all. All right, well, just do what's required. It needs to be repaired. So why get emotional about it? It's bizarre, really. We think, why do we get so emotional about these things?
I
So
don't
washing
know.
machine,
It's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah.
the washing machine has no feelings. It's like it doesn't know. It's just a mechanical device that's broken down as happens. So you're getting emotional with it. Crazy, but we do.
We do, yeah.
Seen a photo. I don't know if you've ever seen a video of a guy and he's working at a cubicle on a desk and he's getting frustrated with his computer, one of those old style computers.
Oh,
And then
yes.
eventually he just snaps and he just starts bashing the computer.
Oh,
The
yes.
guy,
We've all
the guy next door looks over going, what?
just getting madder and madder, yes, because it
Matter
was
and
so.
matter. And then, you vent your anger on the machine. It's just a machine.
I know, yeah, I've seen that, yeah.
See that? Yeah.
Yeah, I've
It's
seen that with,
crazy.
well, we've all done it as well, not just seen it, we've
Yeah.
done it ourselves. Yeah,
Yeah. Who hasn't at some point, sworn at their computer and gone,
of course. Of
it's
course.
crazy.
Yeah,
So
it
they
is.
can't hear you. It doesn't make any logical sense.
You've wound
But it
yourself up
makes
so
us
much.
feel like we're achieving something. Okay, well, if I get angry with my computer, then somehow that's gonna fix the problem. Of course it's
And
not,
so,
but
but it can, yeah. I mean, there was one occasion where it was very hot summer in Los Cristianos. There was a chap in the apartment, and he'd lost it, and he was smashing all his apartment up and throwing things out the window. And even one chap shouted at me, he says, "Can you throw your television out, mate?" Because he was just so hot and bothered, and he was getting so angry. He was smashing his apartment up. So
trying everything out. Yeah.
yeah, so it really is a crazy thought
Hmm.
system. Mm.
But life gives you the opportunity, moment by moment, to correct. Okay, so I can notice these things, they come up, and if it's uncomfortable and it's a difficult emotion, it's like it's a chance for correction.
Mm.
I can let this go. So this isn't really rocket science. It's not like deeply mystic and mysterious. And actually, this is a
No,
very, very simple
common sense.
teaching. Common sense should be common sense. Yeah, let me just let go of these thoughts and emotions that don't really serve me. Surely that would make sense for anyone, whether you believe in whatever your theology is. Theology doesn't really matter, does it? It's just, yeah, here and now I'm feeling uncomfortable. I've got a negative thoughts and emotion going on. Surely it makes sense to let it go so that I can be at peace again.
Mm.
Of course it
So
does. I mean,
addictive.
it's
Yeah.
logical, it's common sense, and yet it's not common sense because actually
No.
this is not common. Most people don't understand this. They don't practice it. They don't apply it. They don't get taught it. It's not it's not common in our society at all that people are really aware enough to let go of their negativity as it arises. It's quite uncommon, in fact.
Mm. Mm.
But that's the upside down insane world of the ego, that the insane becomes normal, and what is actually sane and common sense is seen as radical, strange, weird, woo-woo, some kind of weirdo out there, spiritual freak, and so
Mm.
on and so on. When actually you're just letting go of what doesn't serve you. I mean, surely that makes sense. So this is actually it should be common sense, this stuff. We shouldn't actually even need to teach it. It's like, well, yeah, of course. Well, of course I'm going to let go of things that don't work for me. I mean, hello. Why wouldn't I want to do that?
Mm. Mm.
But it's not, because the ego is so addictive and so strong in most people that they're not aware enough to do this. And then we have other ways, societies create other ways of dealing with these addictions. So you go and you distract yourself with something. You take substances. We've got a whole drug industry, trillion-dollar pharmaceutical industry designed to really the pharmaceutical industry is designed to create some kind of solution to people's underlying emotional negativity. Oh, well, don't worry, just pop a pill and you'll be right. But you won't really be right, because actually you haven't dealt with the problem, have you? You just suppressed it
Mm.
temporarily. And then you have to take another one. And then, in fact, it's the very opposite of healing, because you need awareness to heal. If you numb yourself out, you don't have that awareness, then how can you ever do this kind of work?
Mm.
So you actually have to get off the drugs in order to have the awareness to then do the work and face the pain. We live in the society where it's like, oh, I'm in pain, I go to a doctor, fix my pain. Okay, well, I'll just prescribe a drug that'll numb you out and fix your pain. But like, face the pain. Don't
Mm.
don't don't run away from it. Face it and work through it.
Yeah.
But we've got in such a quick fix mindset that's like, no, 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 we shouldn't have to face pain. So then there's a solution. I'll just take a drug. I'll pop a substance that seemingly lessens the pain. But that doesn't really work in any kind of long-term way, because the pain is just suppressed rather than really dealt with. And if you keep doing that, you'll get sick, because it
Mm.
just becomes entrenched pain, and pain that doesn't get healed, goes deeper into your psyche and into your body, and then after years of that, and you get various illnesses that manifest. Whereas if you just do this work, So how hard is it? Just moment by moment. Let me notice. Let me just notice my stream of awareness. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Moment by moment. Am I feeling uncomfortable? Okay, I notice it. And then I can let it go accordingly. If I notice it and I know some of these techniques, I can go, okay, well, I can just breathe through that. I can let it go. Take a deep breath, notice it, exhale it out and let it go. Drop the energy. Is that so hard to do, really? Simple, simple solution. It's easy to do. It just takes maybe even a few seconds. Why isn't this common practice?
Because we're addicted. We're letting the ego run the show.
Hmm. And the difficulty we face in this world is that it's become systemic. So if you look at the integral model, explains it quite well. The external, the systems, this is the collective exterior. The systems have been designed by the ego to perpetuate itself. So you have, say, a medical system, this whole pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry that supports it is a system to deal with this kind of mental, emotional trouble that people have. And it's become kind of the default system. So that's what most people do. They face difficulty. They go to their doctor, they go to the psychiatrist, psychologist, and they get, you know, some immediate help. Okay, well, here's a drug. Take it. And so in some ways that, you know, it's harder now, although there's lots of information. That system is so deeply entrenched, and we've got brainwashed into believing that that system is true and that system works, and this is the way things this is the way to do it, rather than questioning it. So that's part of our letting go, saying, well, actually, if I understand all this is an illusion, the external world, the systems that we have in this world are projections of this false thought system we call the ego, a collective set of shared values, meanings, including language, relationships, and culture that is insane. It is insane, it's dysfunctional, and so the systems that serve it are also so. And you know, when you can see that, then you start awakening. You're seeing through the illusions of the world, and you're starting to go more into your own power. Realize that I have the solutions within me. I don't need the system. Can unplug from the matrix in matrix language. So that's a big part of the healing. You have to be willing to first of all question and then ultimately deny this the system, you know, is works, that it has any value. And most people are so hopelessly enslaved to that system that they can't do that. Well, I've seen it with my parents, you know, very medically oriented. No, you just go to the doctor. And then, you know, when COVID came along, and I was like, well, I'm questioning the whole system. They didn't want to know. They can't, because they can't accept that maybe the system's wrong. Because then maybe they've been wrong their whole life. Maybe their entire thoughts. See what it's the thin edge of the wedge, isn't it? Well, if that's wrong, what else is wrong? What else have I got wrong? Maybe I've got everything wrong. So they defend it. No, rather stick to the system that I know, even though it doesn't really work, but you know, I'll kid myself that it does. And go through the pain of having to let go of my own ego, attachment to it, and starting to awaken. Because all these things are the thin edge of the wedge. You know, if you start somewhere, you start deconstructing the ego, eventually it's going to lead to the full deconstruction of the ego. The ego knows that. That's why it's resistant to any kind of change.
That's that stage when you go through a bit of a dark night of the soul, I guess, when it's really being deconstructed. Some people go through it, not all, of course.
Yeah, I mean, if you so look at the hero's journey, that's what you're talking about. This death and rebirth, the dark night of the soul.
Some people
But
go through a
that
lot.
happens. That happens when you're going through some serious transformation and a lot of letting go, and you can start to wonder, well, what's the point? What's it all about? Why even continue? I've been there. So it's not a nice place to be,
No,
but it's necessary to deconstruct your illusions. You must become disillusioned in order to become enlightened. That should be obvious, shouldn't it? If you understand that it's only the illusions that keep us in prison. But becoming disillusioned doesn't feel nice.
no, because
It feels
so different way of living and thinking.
So it's like we cling to structures that give us some comfort and some security. And so that's what most people do. They cling to the structures of the world that support their ego because it gives them some form of comfort and security rather
Like
than
you
go,
mean,
okay, I'm going to let all this go and just go into a state of being completely disillusioned and trusting that somehow beyond this, beyond the death of the ego, lies, this revelation of my true self, and that I will come to know myself, and that's going to be
so the
just
revelation is basically the awakening, isn't it? This revelation stage is where you just know you've awoken, like you had your Satori moment, and you knew at that point that this is when you reached revelation, I guess.
yeah. And this interesting uses the same terminology as the course. I'm not sure it's used in the same way, but the revelation is in the course terms is going into a state of pure formless awareness. In this instance, maybe they're talking about the revelation of your true self, that you suddenly awaken from the false self, and you go, wow, I'm just what's been revealed to me is the truth of who I am. Now, that may or may not involve a mystic experience. Often, certainly, it involves experience. There's no doubt. You're not going to.
Experience rather than words. Yeah.
It's an
Not
experiential
to,
process. You go through it, and often you can really struggle. I just say like I have times where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. It's just really, really difficult. And you kind of want to stop it and go, just like, can't I just go back to how I was and be sort of reasonably normal? But the only way out is through. You've got to go through
no, I
it.
guess. Yeah, no, I can
You go to the other
understand that.
side. When you get to the other side, then you go, okay, it's been all worth it. It's all worth going through that temporary suffering
Yeah.
to awaken to who I really am, because that's what this is all about. And the revelation of that, the amazing quality of that makes the journey worthwhile, and the gifts that it gives me, and what I now have is well worth it.
Yeah.
When you're going through it, you don't always feel like that. You're like, is this worth it? Like, what am I doing? Where am I going? It can feel very difficult, challenging. Everything's upside down.
Unsure. You feel
Unsure,
unsure.
yeah, uncertain. You just not, in this stage, you just really, the ego is crumbling,
Yeah.
and it's like what you thought was a solid foundation before is you realize is not. And then you're like floundering. Well, what is that? What can I hold on to?
That's true.
Um, and you've got to be willing to deconstruct the old entirely and say, okay, well, what I can hold on to is the hope and the promise of the revelation of my true self, and that is on the other side of this.
Yeah.
this this much higher state of awareness and love and peace and joy that come with it that await me. And these teachings and things like the hero's journey and so on are very helpful because they show us that there is something else.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not the first person to go through this journey. Salvation, there's awakening. And so that's where the teachings like this, spiritual teachings, are very, very helpful. Because if you went through this and you didn't know,
You would
you
be
might go, I'm going
yeah, of
insane. I'm going insane and I just
course.
can't handle it anymore. And I don't know,
Mm,
kill myself or something. But if you
course.
if you have a framework like this, you go, okay, well, I know
Mm,
what this is about. I know that this is part of an awakening process, and so I'm not the first person to go through it. And yeah, it's not
and
easy for anyone.
no,
It wasn't easy for any of the great masters like Yeshua, the
but
Buddha,
there are,
and it was difficult
but,
for them as well.
but are there not the odd people on the, that just seem to awaken, whether they're on a spiritual path or not? There's some people that just all of a sudden wake up. Not
It
many,
can
mind.
happen. It's unusual, but it
Yeah,
can. Eckhart Tolle was one, Byron Katie,
yeah,
another one.
yeah.
Neither of them was by
On
their
a
own admission
spiritual path.
spiritual at all. They weren't on any kind of path of spiritual awakening. They were just in dysfunction, in pain and suffering, a
Mm,
lot of misery. But it was the intensity of the misery that did it, I think. The
mm,
egos were so heavy, it was like something cracked open.
yeah,
And so, that was the way they work. That can happen, but much, much better for most people to go, well, I'll take
slowly.
the way of mastery rather than that way of
Yeah,
the cross. The way of mastery is saying, okay, I'll systematically and progressively take myself on the hero's journey. I'll listen to the spirit, I'll listen to the guidance, I will practice these kinds of spiritual practices. We just did one, and I'm going to acquire this ultimate skill of letting go, and I'll master the go, and it's gonna help me to awaken to who I am if I keep doing that. And so I'm consciously and systematically, progressively undertaking the journey, much better than just going, well, I'll just forget about all this stuff and live
blood on.
unconsciously and
Yeah,
plod
yeah.
on and hope, for a kind of miraculous awakening one day. Well, that may or may not happen.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
Good luck with that because there's no conscious
But
intent. So the way of
no,
mastery, just chipping away and having a spiritual program and doing your spiritual practices really is the only
become
sensible way, only sane way.
you become
To
accident prone, as you say.
exactly, yeah. As I say in the Zen saying, enlightenment is an accident, but you become accident prone the more spiritual practice you do. So when I had like my Satori moment after 9 days of intense meditation, I was very accident prone in that at
Mm,
that point.
done
It's
such
like
a lot.
you're ripe for some experience like that because of the work that you've done.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
so that put yourself into that into that position where you're accident prone, it's likely that these kinds of experiences will happen at some
Mm.
point. You don't know exactly when. It's not
No,
the kind of thing you can command. Say, well, on day 9 at 1
no,
p.m. in the afternoon, I'm going to have this amazing Satori
no,
moment.
no.
No, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
of course.
It just
It just
happens.
happens when it happens. Yeah.
It happens when it happens. But what I had to do was to consciously intend, say, okay, I'm going to do the Vipassana retreat and fly down there and book myself in and clear the time in my diary, and then actually do the meditations and do it diligently to the point where I was ready. And
Mm.
then finally, I actually had to let go of the discipline. Sometimes you've got to actually let go of the practice. In that
Yeah.
moment, I let go of the practice. And I think that's
Mm,
what did it. If I
mm.
carried on in the rigid practice, I wouldn't have had that. But I was
No.
like, okay, something in me was intuitively all right. Even though, they'd said, don't lie down. I was like, no, I'm actually going to listen to this
Your own
deeper
guidance.
intuition.
Mm.
Yeah, the inner guidance. Yeah, I just feel like I'm going to just lie down because my body was really tired. And I was like, okay, I've done this for 9 days. So yeah, just intuitively, I'm like, okay, let's lie down. And it was like, wow, just the release,
Mm.
freeing myself from the constraints of the practice, because it's a
Mm.
very uncomfortable
Richard,
practice, sitting and
12
it's like,
hours a
okay,
day. Wow.
12
Yeah.
hours a day. It's like, but it was always like I had to do the practice and do it. And then, okay, finally let go of the practice. And that was part
Mm.
of the letting go. So I had to do it until I was ready to let go of it. If I hadn't done 9 days of it intensively, then there wouldn't have been that same letting go opportunity. So, it's all perfect in its imperfections. It was all meant to be. And then, that brought about that awakening experience where the entire course just dropped. It was like everything just dropped in. I was like, wow, I'm like downloading. It's like, shh. So I went into the pure awareness for a while. So there's no mental processing then. It's just an awareness. And I don't know how long that was for. A few
Mm.
minutes, maybe, And then when I came out of that and I came back into some kind of thinking, it was like a massive download, just like, it just
Mm.
got it's difficult to describe, but it was
Mm.
like the whole course dropped. And I was like, oh my God, I get it.
Yeah.
I really get it. The world is it is just a projection
Mm.
of this insane, voice that's denied, this insane entity that's denied this awareness that I just experienced, having experienced it. And you go, that was just incredible. It was amazing.
Mm.
Just perfect, pristine awareness. It was nothing's wrong. There's no problem. Nothing's wrong. Why would I deny that? Why would I cover that over? But I realized that I had covered it over
Mm.
with this crazy thought system, and the world just a projection of that thought system. So it's a veil. The whole thing's a veil of illusion.
Mm.
I really understood then what he's saying, that that's why it's called the veil, because
Mm.
the world is the veil that is designed to cover over that awareness. That's
Mm.
what the ego is designed it for. And we've done it to ourselves. I realized I did this to myself. I made it all up to cover that awareness because part of my mind's insane ego didn't want that awareness anymore. Wanted to be some other awareness. Well, it's like, well, that was so beautiful. That's the most beautiful experience I've ever had. Why would I want to cover that over and not experience that more?
Yeah.
Well, I gave up that for this, absolute dog show of a world with all this
Mm.
crazy stuff going on. Really? I was so intense. I cried. I was like, I can't believe I
Mm.
did that. That's just so sad. We've
Yeah.
all done that.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
me. Everyone
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
seems
All of
human
us who are in a
has done
body.
that. We've
Yeah.
covered over our true, pristine, pure, formless awareness that is absolutely perfect, beautiful. The words fail. You can't really describe it. It's just absolute perfection. And in that, you're completely happy, secure, taken care of. There's no thought of any danger. It's because it's
Just safe.
completely
Mm.
perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. We denied that for this world. And when you look at that choice, you're just like, that's just totally insane. Because this world is anything but. It's the opposite of that. It's seemingly very
Insane.
threatening. Seemingly very threatening. There's always something happening to apparently threaten you, and then you've got to continuously try and um, defend yourself and find a way to get through the threats. And from the moment you're born, the challenges start. Well,
Mm-hmm.
why
They
would you
do.
choose that over pristine, pure awareness, which is just perfect, and you don't have to do anything. It's no requirement other than to just be in that awareness. I mean, surely that's preferable to all of this stuff we have to go through.
Mm.
So that's the kind of, when you go through the death and the rebirth experience, you have, that understanding experientially arises.
Mm.
And on the other side, anyone who's got to the other side, this is a genuine transformation because you've experienced it, and because you've had the experience. It's not anything anyone taught you in a book. You might have done that on this side of it, but on this side, it's your own experiential
Experience. Mm.
understanding. Yeah, that may have been facilitated by the book learning. There's no doubt that having done all that work with the course was part of that download. It's like, okay, but I just suddenly got it experientially instead of just theoretically by reading the book. It's like, no, I get this in my own experience and understanding. And
Mm.
that's what the hero's journey is really is all about. Is coming into your own understanding of this. And when you have that understanding, then you can be truly helpful to other people because you can teach them from that understanding. It's not book knowledge, not theory. It's
Mm.
you know because you've experienced it. And that's what made Yeshua such a wonderful teacher, because he had experienced it and he could teach from that experience. He'd gone way beyond the dogma, the theology of the Sanhedrin, the Jewish teachers. He was way beyond that. It wasn't book knowledge, it was experiential understanding. And
Mm.
a power that came from that they could see was just on another level. It wasn't of this world, because he'd been through the hero's journey, then came back into that society, transformed, and proceeded to do what he did and teach and heal in a it was just quite an amazing out of the box journey. His whole ministry was like, wow, way out there, way out of the norm, because he'd been way out of the norm. Many people speculate, did he go to India, spend time in India and Tibet? Quite possibly he did, between 13 and 27. And there's like one line in the Bible that says he grew in wisdom, became healthy and strong. And it's like one line for 15 years of his life. Well, maybe he did a whole lot of stuff that prepared him for his ministry that is not recorded,
Mm.
because it wouldn't have been well known, and maybe they didn't want it to be known. If you went to India, it would have been, this was another culture, another tradition. It would have been like, okay, so actually, this is a big challenge to Judaism. So there would have been reasons why that wasn't revealed. But if he did, he would have been got into another culture, learned this stuff from Buddhist monks and yogis and so on, and come back in, and no wonder they were like, where does this guy come from? He's got this knowledge and these abilities that are, way out there, because he'd gone into a different culture. If he'd spent 15 years learning this stuff and meditating, as a mystic yogi, then yes, these kinds of powers, the siddhis that he demonstrated, they have been observed in other advanced meditators and yogis. So it would make sense then that he'd gone and he'd done a lot of that for years and years, and then he came back to his society and brought this amazing transformation that we've been through, and brought it into that society and changed the world, and fundamentally changed that society, changed the world through that. So that's classic hero's journey. And now now we benefit because he's a mentor. Though he's not physically here, he becomes a mentor on our hero's journey to help us to take the same journey as he did. Okay, so a little bit of the hero's journey. Let's just take a quick look at the levels of mind as well. Wanted to do this. So levels of no, not levels of mind. I wanted to do the well, it's fine. Map of consciousness. So that's what I'm looking for. So the map of consciousness, which was formulated by David Hawkins, who was a kinesiologist. You know what kinesiology is? You know what you do. It's the science of muscle testing. It's based on research done by the Institute for Spiritual Research, founded by Dr. David Hawkins. It can be a powerful tool for increasing your self-awareness, provided you don't use it for egoic purposes. So it could be very tempting for the ego to say, oh, well, you know, I'm at level 350 or 400 or even higher, so I'm superior to someone who's, oh, you know, you're only on 125. That's not what it's about. Convince yourself of your own superiority over inferiority towards other people. You might go, oh, well, I'm such a miserable sinner and I'm so guilty and shameful. And, you know, you're just amazing and you're courageous and you're willing. And so therefore I'm less than you. Either instance of superiority or inferiority is not true. So how you can use the scale, for instance, the moment you feel yourself becoming angry, you can keep the map of consciousness in mind, should trigger an alarm bell. You're slipping into negative consciousness that is destructive of life and therefore harmful to you and others. So you go, okay, I'm getting angry. Anger is 150 on the scale. It's inherently negative. Anything below 200 is negative consciousness or awareness. So this can be used as a tool for self-awareness. Okay, I'm slipping down. 150, I'm going into the negative. Okay, well, at least I'm aware of that, so I can do something about it. And then use any of the letting go techniques detailed in the information pack that you're learning on this course to help you let the angry negative feeling go. It will shift you up the scale at least one level, help you to feel calmer and more peaceful immediately, and most importantly, stop you from harming yourself and others. So as a tool for self-awareness, okay, I'm going into anger. I'm aware of that. That's 150. I don't want that, so let me let it go. And when you let go, that's like the springboard from that lower state. Let's say you were in anger, boom, you let go, and that catapults you up. And you immediately, if you've really looked at it and let it go, you'll go into positive, one of these positive states. Maybe that's courage or a sense of neutrality or maybe even willingness. So the way to go up the scale is to let go of whatever's holding you back from the lower levels. And that should help you feel calmer and more peaceful immediately, stop you from harming yourself and others. You can also use it to know what the next stage in your spiritual growth is. So you can use it moment by moment. If you find yourself able to be fairly neutral about events and people in your life, especially when they're calibrating negatively, map of consciousness, you can use this map to make a commitment to be more optimistic. So have a look there at the neutrality. You might say, okay, I'm kind of neutral. That's good. I'm not reacting too much. So I've got past the very strong egoic reactions, but maybe the next step for me could be willingness to be like actually positive and optimistic about things rather than just neutral. So it gives you then the way forward. Okay, well, I need to start focusing on the willingness, and maybe that involves doing some affirmations and really being willing, most of all, to let go, no matter what seems to happen. Okay, so that's another way of using it, and then you can go up the scale. Say, okay, so what's my default state now? So this can be used moment by moment, but most people, everyone has a default state. So that's the kind of dominant state that you're normally in. The kind of current status quo. So if that's anger, then the next step up would be pride. If you're at pride, then the next step up is courage. And so it gives you the next step in your journey, which is quite helpful. If you're in a state of acceptance, forgiveness, then reasoning, high-level reasoning and understanding of the metaphysics behind all this would be your next step. And the next step beyond that is actually feeling the love, unconditional love. And so on. Up it goes into perfect enlightenment, which is ineffable. It means indescribable. He talks about it as pure consciousness, and actually it's just pure awareness. So the way they calibrated this, just so you know, is they muscle tested various thousands of people. So kinesiology, they do the arm holding, and then they would say, so is fear 75, and people would say strong. Is fear 80, people say strong. And eventually get to 100, is fear 100, and then they would go weak. And they did that over many different people to then calibrate and say, okay, so fear is at 100. Desire at 125. So like this is not absolute. The numbers are part of the illusion, but they give some kind of a scale, which a structure, which still within the ego construct, but can be helpful and you can use it. Remember, everything's there, really there just to help you awaken. It's the only purpose to it. And then just in terms of the kind of structure of this, there's three main components of this. There's the negative states of mind, which is anything below 200, below courage, so shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, pride, all part of we call negative consciousness or awareness that is ultimately life destructive. You can see these things are not very nice. The scorn and inflation, vengeful and antagonistic, denying and disappointing, punitive and frightening, for fear, disdainful and tragic, condemning and hopeless, bound to condemning, vindictive, evil, despising, miserable. It gets worse as you go down, doesn't it? It's like, despising. When you despise yourself, that's shame. And you don't even feel like you deserve to exist. And you won't exist for very long because that energy is so negative and toxic that you'll get sick or you'll commit suicide or something. Most of us are, somewhere. Most people are typically rooted in one of these negative states, so they would be at negative consciousness in doing Course in Miracles in this program. That's going to have upgraded you to something higher, inevitably. The second component is between 200 and 500. So, so just notice, in the scale that the lowest energies are all past based. So from 20 to 100 is all about the past. Grief, apathy, guilt, shame, which you can't do anything about. You can't change the past. Then once you get to 100 and 100 to 200, it becomes more about the future. So fear is you don't fear the past, you fear the future. Desire It's all about the future. Anger, you get angry because your expectations have been violated. Okay. Yeah. All about expectation and future. Pride. Proud because of your past, proud because of your current accomplishments and what you achieve. So that moves more into future, which means you can, although it's still not true, future is not true, it's more positive. And will lead you, if you keep going up, it'll lead you to courage. And then you break through. Courage is a breakthrough level, so there's various thresholds. Courage to be who you really are. That's, you know, anything above 200, that's what you're saying. That's the hero's journey. Oh, there's John. Some time to do some text. And so you go up to then neutrality, willingness, acceptance. Interesting that forgiveness sits there. So forgiveness leads to a higher level reasoning, and that is the underpinning of love, joy, and peace to underpin enlightenment. So we're kind of going through this process, part of the course, the forgiveness, the reasoning, the understanding in preparation for these experiences of love, joy, and peace, which you may not have yet, but it's leading there. Hi, John.
Hi, John. Hi, Elaine.
Hi, John.
Welcome. Your timing's good again, so we're going to go into the text just now, just
Okay,
wrapping this up.
excellent.
And then at the top level, is enlightenment, which is ineffable. Pure consciousness, he calls it. There's just, we would call this pure formless awareness. When he says consciousness, he's not talking about consciousness as defined in the Course, which is still within the ego domain. Consciousness is the original idea of separation. It's in this context being used as awareness. So we would say that's pure awareness, pure formless awareness, which is ineffable. That means it's indescribable. Can't really describe it. But you can describe its effects. And so, you know, this scale, and there's many other scales like this, just really confirms this, the hero's journey, that we're all on a journey, that there are these levels seemingly in the illusion, but they all lead you to a singular state we call pure formless awareness, which is the perfectly enlightened state. And whichever scale you look at, there's many others, they end up in the same place. So they're all saying is, well, whichever way you take the journey, however you want to slice and dice the levels, in the end it ends up in the same place, in this non-dual awareness, place of perfect oneness, which is everyone's destiny, is to attain that state. All right. Any other questions on that? And how to use it? You know, it's, as I said, there's two ways you can use it: moment by moment, by going, okay, so what's my awareness now? I'm feeling angry. Okay, remember that's 150 on the scale. Okay, so that tells me I'm in negative awareness and that I need to let go. And it also tells you the next step. It's the second way of using them. So if I'm in a certain state now, you know, what's my next step? Okay, so I can show you the next stage in your spiritual growth. And whenever you let go of any illusion that's problematic, then you go up the scale into a higher state. So letting go would be the springboard. The way to raise yourself up the levels is to let go of your mental, psychological, emotional attachment to the previous level, because that frees you to then bounce up a level or two. If you keep doing that, that's how you climb the ladder, so to speak, go through the stages back to perfect enlightenment. Okay, so yeah, any questions on that, Elaine or John?
That's good.
Useful tool.
Well explained. Mhm.
Useful tool. You can reference it for awareness. That's the only point. It's just to help you actually let go of what doesn't serve you and embrace what does. That's what all these tools are about. Okay, John, any questions? Otherwise, let's go
No, that's fine with
into
me. That's good.
today's text reading. So this one is recording going. So this one is called The Escape from Darkness, or The Escape from Limited Awareness, as we translate it, section 4 of chapter 1. So, Sean, do you want to read? It's only 4 paragraphs, quite short tonight. You want to read
Yep.
in the original and alternative, paragraph 1, please?
The escape from darkness involves 2 stages. First, the recognition that darkness cannot hide. The escape from limited awareness involves 2 stages. First, the recognition that limited awareness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. When I first read, I did read this earlier actually, and when I first read that, I thought, oh, there's something about that just requires understanding. But it does go into it as it goes on, actually. So I will continue. Number 3, second, the recognition that there is nothing you want to hide, even if you could. Second, the recognition that there is nothing I want to hide, even if I could. This step brings escape from fear. This step brings release from fear. When you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but will also understand peace and joy. When I have become willing to hide nothing, I will not only be willing to enter into true relationship with my source and others, but also understand peace and joy.
Yeah, enter into communion. So that's true relationship. Communion, translated as true relationship with my source and others. Because a communion is, well, the Holy Communion, in religious terms, means something different. We enter into true relationship, recognizing I'm one with them. That's what communion means. They enter into, or maybe we can even change that to only wanting to unify. Enter into communion means to unify. Will not only be willing to unify with my source and everyone and every living entity. And so that's the the unification. We unify with our source and with every living entity, every living thing, maybe. What communion means. State of oneness. But we'll also understand peace and joy. Okay, so if you can read that from the top in the alternative, John.
The escape from limited awareness involves two stages. First, the recognition that limited awareness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. Second, the recognition that there is nothing I want to hide, even if I could. This step releases me from fear. When I have become willing to hide nothing, I will not only be willing to unify with my source and every living thing, but will also understand peace and joy.
Okay, a summary of that.
So he's saying here that in order to, it's saying that the escape from the illusion requires, first of all, that we understand that our dark side cannot actually hide. It cannot hide. Once we seek to expose it, it cannot hide. But that may involve some fear. But actually, once we start down that route, we kind of get that there's nothing we want to hide anyway, even if we could, which is releasing us from fear.
So when you kind of say, okay, you know, I get it. Initially, I you know, be fearful because the ego is very fearful of being exposed and saying, no, you know, don't go there. There's difficulty there and darkness, and just kind of keep it all under wraps and keep it hidden because you don't want to experience, you know, the demons are there and there be dragons and so on. And so it keeps you away from it through fear. But when you say, okay, but like I accept this teaching, I have to go into this. To be free of this, I have to, you know, flush all this out. I can't hide, you know, the darkness. I need to bring it into conscious awareness in order to let it go. Then that's the second part of the recognition. Okay, actually, I don't want to hide anything. I want it to come up into my experience, into my awareness, and be able to let it go then. So, difference between, it's called metaphysical ghosting or spiritual bypassing. You can easily, the first, say, oh, well, you know, I don't want to deal with this, so I'll just cover it over. I'll say, you know, even using course terminology, you can say, oh, well, it's all an illusion anyway, so I don't have to look at it. And you can cover it over and not really be willing to look and to expose the darkness. Whereas in the second one, you're the hero, you have the courage, you have to be at courage really to do this first step. You're relating it to the map of consciousness. Right? If you're not at courage, how are you going to say, okay, bring it on? You know, I don't want to hide it anymore, even if it entails pain. I'm ready for it. Bring it on. And that step then releases you from fear because you're saying, well, I'm not scared of it anymore. Just bring on whatever it is that I have to experience. Does that make sense, John? Does that clarify that those two steps?
It does, yeah. I think it actually it goes further with it in paragraph 2 actually as well.
Yeah, I was just setting the scene. Okay, so yeah, any other questions on number 1? Happy with that, Elaine?
Yeah, yes.
Right, so read number 2 and the original and the alternative for us.
Holiness can never be really hidden in darkness, but you can deceive yourself about it. Innocence can never really be hidden in limited awareness, but I can deceive myself about it. This deception makes you fearful because you realize that your heart, it is a deception, and you exert enormous efforts to establish its reality. This deception makes me fearful because I realize in my heart it is a deception, and I exert enormous efforts to establish its reality. The miracle sets reality where it belongs. The correction establishes reality where it belongs. Reality belongs only to spirit, and the miracle acknowledges only truth. Reality belongs only to pure formless awareness, and corrections acknowledge only truth. It thus dispels illusions about yourself and puts you in a communion with yourself and God. So they dispel illusions about myself and put me in true relationship with my true self and pure formless awareness of perfect love. The miracle joins in the at-one-ment by placing the mind in the service of the Holy Spirit. Corrections join in the at-one-ment by placing my mind in the service of the remembrance of perfect love. This establishes the proper function of the mind and corrects its errors, which are merely lacks of love. This establishes the proper function of my mind and corrects its errors, which are merely lacks of love. Your mind can be possessed by illusions, but the spirit is eternally free. My mind can be possessed by illusions, but pure formless awareness is eternally free. If a mind perceives without love, it perceives an empty shell and is unaware of the spirit within. If my mind perceives without love, it perceives an empty shell and is unaware of the pure formless awareness within. But the at-one-ment restores spirit to its proper place. But the at-one-ment restores pure formless awareness to its proper place. The mind that serves spirit is invulnerable. The mind that serves only pure formless awareness is invulnerable. From the top, innocence can never really be hidden in limited awareness, but I can deceive myself about it. This deception makes me fearful because I realize in my heart it is a deception, and I exert enormous efforts to establish its reality. The correction establishes reality where it belongs. Reality belongs only to pure formless awareness, and corrections acknowledge only truth. So they dispel illusions about myself and put me in a true relationship with my true self and pure formless awareness of perfect love. Corrections join in the at-one-ment by placing my mind in the service of the remembrance of perfect love. This establishes the proper function of my mind and corrects its errors, which are merely lacks of love. My mind can be possessed by illusions, but pure formless awareness is eternally free. If my mind perceives without love, it perceives an empty shell and is unaware of the pure formless awareness within. But the at-one-ment restores pure formless awareness to its proper place. The mind that serves only pure formless awareness is invulnerable.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
Well, our innocence can never be hidden in this limited awareness that we think we're in. And well, our real state is where we restore ourselves to pure formless awareness in its proper place. Once we're in its proper pure formless awareness, then we are invulnerable. We can't be affected by anything. We are pure innocence. In reality, it belongs only to pure formless awareness. And corrections will acknowledge this truth and only this truth. So it will dispel all these illusions about ourselves and bring us to our true relationship with the true self of pure formless awareness.
Yeah, the correction just reestablishes that this is the truth, and this awareness is still there. It's still the truth. It arises again in our awareness. And the one-ment is this process of correcting our mind and restoring us into this original pure awareness that we still are.
Would it be fair to say that I'm just thinking about this fear and this fear of enlightenment, fear of truth, and I'm thinking I don't think it is quite spelled out here that maybe it's an echo of the original moment of separation when we actually chose to be separate. And it's the fear that might be exposed.
Yeah, yeah. Let's have a look. We can have a little look at this diagram again. Sort of explains it quite well. So sent into hell. If you believe that you've really done this, you've really separated from your source, and that therefore you're guilty of destroying it, this becomes your hidden secret. This is the dirty secret of the ego. It doesn't want for that to be exposed. And so it tries to hide it, cover it over and hide it. Doesn't want you to know. And so there's a tremendous fear then of that secret being uncovered. And so, the fear, false expectation of punishment appearing real comes from this secret guilt and sin, which lies in every human being. We've all got this subconscious thought of that we are sinful and guilty at our very core. That's what the ego tells us. Just the fact that we exist as an individual person means that we're guilty and sinful, because we must have destroyed perfect oneness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, in order to exist. Is the source of the ego's guilt, and it doesn't want you to uncover that. It's very, very fearful of this apparent truth that it is guilty and sinful at the very core, and so it tries to project that out onto others. It says it's not you, it's others who're guilty.
And I'm thinking that guilt is kind of drawn up in people when someone else speaks truth to them. They get defensive.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll give you a good example. It didn't happen to me today, but Deborah's got a job going on, and the building contractor was doing a substandard job, some tiling and stuff. And so she had to address it. So she brought it up, and she said he was just massively defensive and aggressive in response. And the only reason, that can be, so it's not particularly reasonable. It's just saying, well, this is a problem, and okay, well, reasonably, if you didn't have guilt, you'd say, okay, I see that. All right, well, this is what I'll do to address it. I can remedy it, I can fix it because I'm not feeling guilty, and so I don't need to have this hugely defensive reaction. But if someone feels guilty, then the defensive reaction is because they don't like that feeling. They don't want to confront it. And so then they have to defend, and the best form of defense is attack. And so then he's aggressive. But actually underneath it all, he felt guilty at what he'd done. He realized that the job was substandard, and he was kind of trying to fudge it. And then when she pointed it out, all of his guilt comes up, and now he has to the only way of dealing with it in the ego is to project it onto someone else. So then it's like, no, it's your fault. And then he's like starting to blame her, saying, well, it's your fault, and you've done this and you've done this. And it's like, because he can't deal with it himself. So that's that. And then ultimately, if you boil all that guilt down, it's not really the guilt that's ultimately the metaphysical guilt behind it is the guilt at the separation and at destroying love. That's the real origin of it, which goes another level down, which he wouldn't have been consciously aware of, but subconsciously, that's what's going on, and that's why there's a massive defensiveness and not wanting to see the truth, and because that guilty secret of the ego is it's going to do everything it possibly can to hide it and not reveal it. Because if you become aware of this, you can actually do something about it. If you understand what's really going on, that this is just this guilt at an insane idea. How can you be guilty for doing something that you never did? You couldn't ever destroy God. It's not possible to destroy that which is eternal. So you're not guilty and you're not sinful, but you have to go and expose that and feel it and experience it in order to let it go. So the ego's fear of bringing that guilt and sin to the light is its defense mechanism. Because as soon as you do that, and you're really willing to go into it and say, I don't want to hide this, I want to actually expose it and let it go, then it's game over. It's the beginning of the end for the ego. Which is what he's pointing out here. Once you get to the second stage, you mentioned in the first paragraph. Second, the recognition there's nothing I want to hide, even if I could. I don't want to hide the darkness because I realize how destructive it is when I do that. This guy's behavior, which is destructive, it comes out of deep-seated guilt and sin that hasn't been looked at and exposed to the light of true awareness. And then, that causes him and others much pain. So the awakening person says, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to bring it to the light of awareness and deal with it, which requires courage. And then you've got to go on your hero's journey and have the courage to face it and not hide it anymore. So that's why. Can you see why courage is then the breakthrough level? If we go back to the in the map of consciousness I was on, courage is the breakthrough level because you have to have the courage to really look at your darkness and bring it up to the light, and not try and hide it away and project it out and no, I'm going to face my stuff essentially. That's that's what courage really means. It then allows you to let it go and grow. But if you're not ever willing to face it, you don't have the courage to do that, then you're stuck in the darkness. There's no way of, without facing it, there's no way of letting it go.
Is
So you can see how all this blocks.
are we? Is your understanding of this chart, Jono, the chart that you just had up there? I mean, if someone is in despair and apathy,
Hmm.
to get to courage is a big do they have to work through the different levels, or what's the route from?
Well, I think there's no one, it's every person's journey is unique. So they may well have to, raise themselves up level by level. So if they start moving out of apathy into grief, and there's a grieving process, and they actually process through that grief and they let it go, and then they might have some fear and they've got to process through the fear. So they could go, level by level and raise themselves up level by level. That's one possibility. Sometimes that's apathy or guilt, or these levels can get quite intense and dark. It can get so intense. The despair, for instance, can get so intense that can awaken them. Eckhart Tolle is a good example. And he's just like, I can't stand it anymore. I can't stand myself anymore. He was at a very, low level, a very dark state of awareness. And because it was so dark and so heavy, it kind of somehow just cracked open. He had this thought to, like, I can't stand it anymore. It's just too much. Can't stand myself anymore. And that thought made him realize that maybe there's two selves and that his mind was split. So I think the intensity of his darkness then awoke him, and then the next morning he wakes up and he'd gone from guilt, shame, apathy, despair, very low energy, and he catapulted up into peace, love, joy. Probably he said his experience was deeply peaceful, so he's probably at level of 600. That can happen. It's unusual. So there's many ways you can bounce up and down the scale. You could jump several levels. Doesn't just have to be one level at a time. Every person's journey is unique. So you can jump up many levels, or I'll give you another example. Ramana Maharshi, I've mentioned him before, the great Indian sage. So he went through an intense fear. When he was 16, his father died a couple of years before, and he just faced the fear of death. And he said a very, very intense fear came over him, but he was able to just witness it, able to detach from the fear and transcend it in that moment. And that was it for him. He was done. From fear, he bounced up into a state of samadhi, enlightenment, and he pretty much stayed there for the rest of his life. Didn't really come down. So he went up the scale by, like, 700 points in a matter of a few minutes, and stayed there. But again, that's unusual. That doesn't happen very often, and that's probably as a result of many lifetimes of spiritual practice. He might have been a guru or something in a previous life, and this was just his final life lesson. He'd come back to get that lesson of overcoming fear, and then boom, he was done, and he went up into these higher states and stayed. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's good.
I don't think there's any, you can't be prescriptive. There's many ways. it can happen. And in your own experience, you can notice that you might feel really positive and willing at one point in the day, and then you kind of have a bit of a downer and some negative thoughts come in, and you might drop down into apathy. And that can happen in a few hours, it can happen in a day. And then, you can do some letting go and you can pick yourself up and you can go back into that state or maybe even higher.
Yeah.
And, the scale can help you just, okay, I'm aware of what's going on here. So it can be a tool to help you to be aware and then to make the shift to let go. Typically, people move quite slowly, and so your default state doesn't move that quickly. You might have, let's say you're in fear and the anxiety is your thing. To move from that into a more positive state like desire might take quite a lot of work and change and transformation. At the in the personal growth industry, you could argue that really what they're trying to do is move people from these past-based, very negative states. Maybe someone's in grief or apathy or despair, and they're trying to move them into a state of desire. Okay, so what do you want with your life? Let's focus instead of on the past, on the future, and on making some stuff happen that you want. Well, it's a positive shift. You can't say, well, that's bad if someone is at apathy, because it's a higher state they've gone into. Even though it's still negative, it's at least they're climbing the ladder. From that point, if someone really, let's say, does the personal growth a lot, and maybe they do manifest all of their desires, and they start moving up into pride, and well, now I'm, feel like I'm proud of what I've accomplished, and there's an identification there. Then they are ripe for the next stage of awakening, which is to let go of the ego and go into what's called sattva knowledge, the knowledge of who they really are. And that takes the courage then to look at that whole structure that they've constructed. It might have been successful on a level and go, but actually that's still false and it still hasn't made me happy. So personal growth would typically be appropriate for someone at these very low levels very often, and they could be helped to go to a higher level of, say, well, I'll desire something and I'll make it happen and I'll get out of my apathy. But then to move from that level, which is called rajas in the Eastern teaching, into sattva knowledge, that requires a different kind of thing. It's courage, the courage to really face your stuff and to let go on a spiritual level. That's what's going to raise you up into these higher states. So you can see how the different modalities help people at different levels. So if someone is way down at grief, apathy, guilt, then it's probably unlikely that this kind of a teaching will help them, because they're not ready for it. It's too much. What they might need is, okay, well, you can actually start setting some goals and you can make a plan and you can, have some positive idea of your future and you can work towards that. That might be a more appropriate intervention. It's something they can accept to prepare them ultimately for, the ultimate truth that, okay, your ego isn't real. The world isn't real. Because that takes real courage to look at that. So yeah, it's quite a useful scale if you start looking at it, and it can help you understand the spiritual journey and your own journey of awakening a little bit more. And that's really the only point of it. So it's useful in your journey. As I said, I think you missed this, but you can use it in two ways. You can say, well, where am I moment by moment in the scale? And if I know that I've slipped down into fear, then that's a trigger for me to do some letting go and raise myself back up. And you can also look at it as a way of seeing what the next stage is. So if your consciousness is primarily rooted in fear, you're very anxious, then maybe stage for you could be to just focusing on the positive and desiring that positive things happen in your life, which moves you out of the fear and moves you up. Ultimately, that's soul desire is not going to work, as we know. Desire is the source of all suffering, but at least it moves you out of your fearful state and moves you up and allows you to continue the journey of awakening. So that's why, if someone isn't, let's say they're doing personal growth course and it's still talking about desire, I've been there, I've done that. It wasn't the ultimate answer, but it did help me at the time. It's part of a process. So I don't knock it. It's like, well, that's what's required at that point in time for that person, which may prepare them then down the line for something more spiritual, which I certainly, my own experience was, I did a lot of that kind of work, personal growth. I raised myself from any of these. I was very much in a desire and pride and all of that, but I had to let go of those in order to go up the scale and start awakening. Those weren't going to cut it, but I'd done a lot of work to get over the the negatives, really dark stuff below 100 to start getting a bit closer to the level of 200, where the final the letting go kind of opportunity for me was to let go of the desire to be a champion squash player and say, look, I'm not going to do that, and maybe therefore the entire system is wrong. So I looked at all of this ego-based system. I actually did about 20 years ago read this, and then started understanding that that's all false and there's a higher way, and that came through letting go. Okay, so any other questions on that? John, happy with that? That's good.
I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay, number 2. I think we've kind of covered it. Talking about dispelling the illusions, the corrections. Very simple, really. He's just saying corrections, which is the letting go, is what will open you up to higher experience, to your higher awareness. To let go of your illusions and go on your journey back home and into pure formless awareness requires these corrections, and so just keep making them, and you're on your journey of at-one-ment. All right. Happy to go to number 3.
Yep. Darkness is lack of light, as sin is darkness is lack of light, as sin is lack of love. Limited awareness is lack of pure formless awareness, as the sin, which is the belief that errors are real, permanent, and punishable, is lack of love. It has no unique properties of its own. It has no unique properties of its own. It is an example of the scarcity belief from which only error can proceed. It is an example of the scarcity belief from which only error can come. Truth is always abundant. Truth is always abundant. Those who perceive and acknowledge that they have everything have no needs of any kind. Those who perceive and acknowledge that they have everything have no needs of any kind. The purpose of the at-one-ment is to restore everything to you, or rather to restore it to your awareness. The purpose of the atonement, the at-one-ment, is to restore everything to me, or rather to restore it to my awareness. You were given everything when you were created, just as everyone was. I was given everything when I was extended, just as everyone. So from the top.
Oh,
Limited awareness is lack of pure formless awareness as sin, which is the belief that errors are real, permanent, and punishable, is lack of love. It has no unique properties of its own. It is an example of the scarcity belief from which only error can come. Truth is always abundant. Those who perceive and acknowledge that they have everything have no needs of any kind. The purpose of the at-one-ment is to restore everything to me, or rather to restore it to my awareness. I was given everything when I was extended, just as everyone was.
okay, so thoughts on that?
Yep, so he's reminding us here that limited awareness is an example of making errors real, punishable, but it doesn't, it all stems from this idea that we are not enough and capable of error. Whereas truth, on the other hand, is always abundant. And those who can live in truth do begin to see that they are living, that they have everything that they do need. And from that moment on, they get beyond this idea of scarcity.
Hmm.
And let go of those and get over those, get beyond those feelings of inadequacy and not
Yeah,
not good
yeah,
enough.
yeah, exactly. An example of, the chap was pertinent because he obviously felt not good enough, deeply so, and then gets very defensive and and not able to operate rationally in his business because of it, his personal not feeling okay as he is. So the only way out of that would be to really, you've got to look at yourself and say, no, I actually am enough, just as I am. I'm okay as I am. So I don't need to defend myself and engage in these kinds of insane behaviors because I am what I am. I am that I am, and I'm not sinful, and I'm not guilty, and I'm not lacking and scarce, and all of those ideas are just false. So all part of the ego's thought system of limitation, limited awareness, lack, sin, guilt. It's a system, isn't it? I think this diagram shows it quite well. It's an entire system of thought, which we have to look at and let go of. If you're in the system, it seems to be true. And what Yeshua's teaching us is that the entire system is false because the idea on which the system is based, separation, is false. So none of it's true. Once you go down the ladder of separation into it, and all this stuff that the ego has miscreated is simply not true because the foundational idea is not true. It's very simple, isn't it? It's like, okay, so the core idea is false, so everything else is false. I just have to realize that when I'm in the midst of that falsity and these kinds of, things like guilt and sin and fear and attack and accusation, blame, and so on come around, I have to recognize that they're all false because the idea behind them, separation, is false. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
And so it's such an enormously, simple idea. But it's one idea that's false, and therefore everything else is false. That's the Holy Spirit's simple logic, which avoids all of the difficulties of many other spiritual paths that they get into, where they're trying to somehow make the illusion true. That's just somebody says it's not true. It never was true. You know, what's false is false, and just see it as such, no matter what form it takes. You reject it all, which most people will say that's radical. Well, yes, it is, because it's getting to the very core of the problem, which is that you have a false idea which you've based your identity and your life on. That idea, if that idea is false, then the entire life and separate identity and world that you've invented must also be false. That's the radical conclusion that this course leads us to. He wants you to accept that for yourself. Because you've understood it, you've accepted it, and then you can live by it. Otherwise, it's just faith-based. Okay, well, just believe because I say so. That never works. All right, so any other thoughts on number 3?
No, that's fine.
Okay, let's go to number 4 then, last paragraph.
The emptiness engendered by fear must be replaced by forgiveness. I must let go of the emptiness engendered by fear. That is what the Bible means by there is no death, and why I could demonstrate that death does not exist. That is what the Bible means by there is no death, and why Yeshua could demonstrate that death does not exist and life is eternal. I came to fulfill the law by reinterpreting it. He came to fulfill the law by reinterpreting it. The law itself, if properly understood, offers only protection. The law itself, if properly understood, offers only protection. It is those who have not yet changed their minds who brought the hellfire concept into it. It is those who have not yet changed their minds who brought the hellfire concept into it. I assure you that I will witness for anyone who lets me, and to whatever extent he permits it. Their true self will perceive and act for anyone who lets it, and to whatever extent they permit it. Your witnessing demonstrates your belief and thus strengthens it. My words and actions demonstrate my belief and so strengthen. Those who witness for me are expressing through their miracles that they have abandoned the belief in deprivation in favor of the abundance they have learned belongs to them. Those who speak and act in accordance with their true self are, through their corrections, expressing that they have let go of the belief in deprivation in favor of the abundance they have learned belongs to them.
And from the top.
I must let go of the emptiness engendered by fear. That is what the Bible means by there is no death, and why Yeshua could demonstrate that death does not exist and life is eternal. He came to fulfill the law by reinterpreting it. The law itself, if properly understood, offers only protection. It is those who have not yet changed their minds who brought the hellfire concept into it. Their true self will perceive and act for anyone who lets it, and to whatever extent they permit it. My words and actions demonstrate my belief and so strengthen it. Those who speak and act in accordance with their true self are, through their corrections, expressing that they have let go of the belief in deprivation in favor of the abundance they have learned belongs to them.
Thoughts on that?
It's saying that to overcome fear, you have to let go of whatever the beliefs are that you are feeding into. Because the belief in fear is 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 essentially the same as death. But we do not have to go there when we choose. If we choose to let go. So I'm saying, as long as we hang on to belief, then we will continue to live in, perceive that we are in hell, which is, of course, a self-created hell, because we can come out of that with the right understanding and the right will, the courage to see things differently and forgive.
Well, as you speak and act in accordance with their true self, are through their corrections, expressing that they've let go of the belief in deprivation, favor the abundance they've learned belongs to them. You know, that's a great sentence. So when we act it, when we speak it and we act it, we express this, and we're saying, yeah, I'm affirming through my words and actions that I have let go of this belief in deprivation, which is based on scarcity, is based on lack, is based on the denial of truth. And all scarcity comes because we've denied the abundance of truth. So I'm expressing that I've let go of that belief in favor of the abundance that I've learned really belongs to me. Very powerful idea. We must witness to, we must demonstrate it in our words and actions. That's how we witness to it. Okay, any other thoughts on number 4?
No, that's fine. It's fine. It's good.
Okay, so we've got a bit of summary, short summary, and then the key message. You want to read those?
My journey out of limited awareness unfolds in 2 stages. Initially acknowledging that limited awareness offers no true concealment, which often triggers fear, followed by the realization that I desire not to hide anything, liberating me from fear. This openness paves the way for genuine connections with my source and others, deepening my understanding of peace and joy. Innocence, obscured by limited awareness and my own deceptions, fosters fear through my efforts to make these illusions true. However,
just pause on that. So just summarize that, thoughts on that.
okay. So he's saying that our journey out of darkness is in 2 stages. First of all, acknowledging that there's no point hiding. There's no point hiding anything. Fear, there is no hiding place for fear. And then the openness to address that, to address the fear, and to let go of whatever is at the root of it.
Yeah. So the courage to, which, you know, if we relate it to this map of consciousness, this is really where you go into courage. Saying I don't want to hide anymore. Courage level 200, saying, okay, I'm willing to face my darkness and let it go. And it's feasible to do that. I can actually let it go, so I feel empowered. to let it go, but it requires the courage to really face your stuff and not just bury it and distract yourself and cover it over and do everything else the ego wants you to do to not face it. Okay, next one. However, corrections realign me with reality.
However, corrections realign me with reality, dispelling illusions and aligning me with my true self and pure formless awareness of perfect love. A process which integrates me into the at-one-ment and corrects my mind's errors that are essentially lacks of love. So it's saying here that corrections, letting go, align us with truth and our awareness of reality, and corrections bring us back into alignment with truth and the feeling of at-one-ment.
Yeah. Exactly. Correction. It's not rocket science, is it? It's just saying, well, you must correct. If you've got an error, you must correct it. And that brings you back into the state where there's no error, which is pure formless awareness, perfect love beyond the error. So corrections are still the means to correct the error. And the Kung was saying, yeah, you know, this idea that it's a correction rather than a miracle, he found very helpful, because a miracle can seem very otherworldly and phenomenal, and like, what does it actually mean? But if it's just a correction, well, that's actually very, very practical and straightforward. Just need to make these corrections continuously. So to live A Course in Miracles, you just need to be correcting your perception all the time. Okay, carry on. Limited awareness, manifestation of the scarcity belief.
Limited awareness, a manifestation of the scarcity belief, contrasts with the abundance inherent in truth. Acknowledging my completeness dissolves my perceived needs, aligning with the at-one-ment's purpose to restore full awareness of my wholeness to my mind.
Okay,
So it's saying that feelings of scarcity are manifestate. Well, they are the result of limited. They're coming out of limited awareness. But once we accept our incompleteness and work on letting it go, then we can align ourselves back with spirit.
Yeah. So, you know, the methodology is look at the darkness, but don't get stuck in it. Observe it, see it for what it is, and then courageously be willing to face it and let it go. Which is not, you know, it's not difficult to understand this methodology. It makes sense. It's just to do it, we need to have the courage to really face our stuff, face our darkness. And that's, most people, you know, spend most of their lives running away from their darkness. They don't want to face it. And why this is the hero's journey. The hero is the one who says, okay, yeah, let me face my darkness. Let's get this over. And you know, with the intent of letting it go.
It is amazing, isn't it, how many people seem to not want to address their own issues.
Huh.
It's inordinately surprising.
Well, I mean, if you understand the ego and how it works, not really, because it's if they address the issues, then it's the end of their separate self, and the ego knows that. So, you know, because this goes to the very heart of who they think they are. So if you start addressing all your issues and really letting go, and you start realizing that, you as a separate self and as a seemingly separate human being weren't ever real. And ego's got huge resistance to that. So the reason why, most people are so stubbornly persistent in the ego is because the ego knows that thin edge of the wedge, if they start doing this kind of work, that, that it will in the end lead them to let go of the entire self-concept and the false identity and the false world that it's created. So it just says, no, don't even go there. Just defend and keep the darkness intact, because rather that than this, incredibly scary domain of the unknown and the light that are being brought in. That makes sense. And that's why people do it, because what's at stake is themselves, what they define as themselves as a separate individual person. That's ultimately what is being threatened by this kind of spiritual work. Okay. So we read, did you read? You've read that one, yeah?
Yeah.
So then just the key message. So this actually, well, I wrote or we wrote, I can't remember exactly, but this is not AI. This is my own or our own take on it. So I thought I'd keep it as the key message. So if you want to just read that one paragraph.
The escape from darkness or limited awareness involves the recognition that it cannot hide, and that there is nothing I want to hide, even if I could, which releases me from fear. Corrections serve the at-one-ment by inviting the remembrance of perfect love to guide me in all my thoughts, words, and actions, which corrects my mistakes that are merely lacks of love. Darkness or limited awareness has no existence, but is merely a lack of light or pure formless awareness. So it is based on the belief in scarcity. That is a mistake and causes more mistakes. I know the truth is always abundant, so I acknowledge that I have everything I truly need. My words and actions inspired by my true self demonstrate my belief in truth and so strengthen it, helping me to let go of the belief in deprivation in favor of the abundance that I learned through this process belongs to me.
Okay, thoughts on that? Just gives a slightly different take on it.
Yeah. Well, he's saying that way back to spirit is to see that darkness is a just a belief in scarcity, is something that sits in the shadows and gets stronger if we allow it to. And the way that we can shine light into that is through letting go of whatever's going on for us. Because when we do so, darkness cannot hide, and truth will always come through, will always win through.
Yeah. If we're just willing to expose the darkness, I think, the key point of this is if you expose the darkness, you must bring the darkness up to the light of true awareness, and then the darkness cannot sustain. It must give way to the light. And if you keep doing that, you ultimately free yourself entirely from the darkness. So that's the methodology. Don't hide it. Be willing to look at it, bring it up to the light of your true awareness and let it go. And then the darkness cannot sustain the light then your own true awareness must come and free you, and that's exactly what this course is designed to do. Okay, so yeah, any simple message?
No, it's one of the relatively easier passages, I think.
Yeah, there's some shorter. So yeah, any other comments or questions on it? Should we?
No, it's a nice one. It's a nice one.
Yeah, we want to do a quick meditation on the
Yeah,
key
can
message.
do. Yeah, yeah.
Cool. Yeah. All right, so let's do that quickly. So, right. Yeah, so just making yourself comfortable. Sitting in your normal meditation posture, feet shoulder width apart, back straight, cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. Start off by taking a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing in. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. Subtle slow there in through the nostrils. Maximal inhale breath. So you're going to scan your mind for any dark thoughts, that's any limited thoughts. Feel limiting, contracted, constricting, in any way, shape, or form. Breathing in again. Escape from darkness or limited awareness involves a recognition that it cannot hide. And that there's nothing I want to hide, even if I could. Which releases me from fear. This releases me from fear. And breathing in again through the nose. Corrections. Serve the at-one-ment. Inviting remembrance of perfect love to guide me. In all my thoughts, words, and actions. Correct all mistakes. That are merely lacks of love. Breathing in again. When darkness or limited awareness has no existence. And you can speak that if you like. So darkness or limited awareness has no existence. Speak it as an affirmation. Breathing in again. That is merely a lack of light. Or pure forms of awareness. So it's based on the belief in scarcity. That is a mistake. And causes more mistakes. So there's definitely say these as an affirmation. And again, say, I know the truth is always abundant. I know the truth is always abundant. So I acknowledge that I have everything I truly need. Breathing in again through the nose. My words and actions inspired by my true self. Demonstrate my belief in truth. And so strengthen it. Helping me to let go of the belief in deprivation. It does always also helping me to let go of the belief in deprivation. In favor of the abundance that I learn through this process belongs to me. And so just let this message sink in experientially. It's really saying you can be freed of your darkness. You don't have to continue hiding it and trying to somehow get rid of it without and just sink inwards, observe the breath, watching calmly, clearly, and stillly. And deeper with each breath into the light. Imagine light. It's pure formless awareness. You visualize a golden or white light. And surrender into the light, which no darkness is possible. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just be in the light for the next few minutes of deep, healed and healing silence. Any darkness, any limited thoughts, emotions, related body sensations comes up, just breathe into it. Remind yourself that no darkness can sustain in the face of the light. You just bring it into your true awareness. You're doing now by bringing it up, observing it, and then wanting to breathe in the light to it. So you're breathing in a bit of bright golden white light into where it sits. Maybe it's sitting in your stomach or your chest. Breathe into that. Feel it dissipating immediately. The darkness cannot sustain in the face of the light. And you bring it into true awareness, and then you just choose to let it go. Exhale. Just have a sense of blowing this darkness away like a black cloud. Going, gone. And the stomach into the spine. Blow it all out to the nothingness that really is. So feeling the light, experiencing it within you. And anchor the state in. Remain in the state of light, pure formless awareness. No matter what, you need to let go of anything. Just bring it into awareness and let it go with the help of your breath. Listen again to this meditation, which I've called to the group. So do that maybe if you need to top yourself up or before bed. So it is said and so it is done. And so now on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. 1, just breathing in, and you notice the breath, and you notice the stomach rise and fall, and the subtle sensations of the breath. And you pause at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind and noticing various thoughts and emotions are going on. And just let it go. Whatever they are, you drop them. Imagine you blow it out. So you exhale, surrender into it. Count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling and touching with your hands. There's a subtle taste in your mouth. There's that smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment, but without any judgment or attachment. To the form, see that go. Exhale it out. Notice the air flowing out, chest and stomach sucked back in. Count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling and touching. Tasting, smelling as you breathe in. Notice what you hear. Without any judgment, it's just pristine, pure awareness. Notice that, remember it. On the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes. So just open your eyes, take a minute, ground yourself back, looking around in this kind of calm, detached state. Look at any object, notice the piece underlies that. Look at another object, notice it's the same piece. And close your eyes. Notice the piece as you drop in your awareness, and then open your eyes and notice that same piece. Nothing's really changed. Doesn't really matter what you're looking at. So you're teaching yourself that this light, source of this light is perfect, and you stay rooted in that for the rest of the evening and on into tomorrow. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and tonight's session. Thank you, John, for joining, staying till the end.
Thank you, Jono. Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah, so join us tomorrow evening. I'm going to start it a bit later, so anytime from 7. We'll probably still be going at about 10, so if you join at about 9-ish, we'll probably be doing the text, so
Okay.
join us then.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, thanks, John.
Yeah, thanks, John. I hope it sorts out for Deborah.
Yeah. No, it was good because it meant that situation was dealt with and she's now able to move forward. So
Good.
very helpful.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thanks, yeah. See you soon. Cheers. Bye.
Bye for now. Okay, so that's a wrap. Thank you to John and Elaine for joining the session. If you enjoyed that session, then to join us for our next masterclass Sunday. Go to theaolg.com to find out more and register for that. You can find the link below. You can also go to lifebuild.com. Again, the link's below in the YouTube comments box to subscribe to receive some of the daily quote and some of the breath breaks, meditations. Usually I do a little blog post. So you can get all that sent to you on Telegram. You go to lifebuild.com and enter your name and mobile number to use for Telegram purposes. And finally, yeah, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified via YouTube whenever I go live, which is 6 days a week. You'll be able to access these recordings. And I'll also be uploading some other videos this year. So you'll be first to know about those. So go on and hit the subscribe button. And yeah, I hope to see you on the inside in one of these sessions soon. Namaste, which means the enlightened self. It's transcend the darkness. And me honors that same light self in you. Peace.